Yeah. So, I come out, it was such an extreme taste of fame that I had, like, overnight. It was ridiculous in reflection. I come out, pulling a John Travolta, 70s pose, doors opened, I've got fireworks, all over the place, crowds with posters with my name on and pictures, and then first person I speak to is Davina McCall. Next day, I sign a £200,000 photo shoot. I get whisked off to do in a mansion, and then just continue to do loads of awesome stuff.
Mm.
Then it got to the point where I was like calling the agent, and then there was no work coming in. And at this point, I'd moved. I was living in London for a couple of years, and then I'd moved back to the northeast because there was no work coming in and stuff. And I was a young single lad. I was just literally going out all of the time. And then it got to the point where the thoughts were like, nothing's coming in. And like everyone who I would see, no matter who it was, whether it was like friends or friends of friends or whatever, always get asked the same question, like, what are you doing now? What are you doing next? And because I was like, there was the ego, I was embarrassed, not bullshit. Or I would put some form of bravado on and say, this is done, this is going to happen, blah, 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 blah. And it got to the point where I was not wanting to, engage in conversation. And then it was, it got to the point where it was like, I would be thinking, have I got to get a normal job here? And that just like terrified me, and it made me extremely embarrassed, and it made me, the ego was definitely in place, and it spiraled into, um, started to get dead bitter. So it was like blaming people, and was thinking, well, why didn't I do this, and why didn't I do that, and like I said, started getting really down, really depressed. No, I just knew I was obviously in a horrendous dark place, and basically what I was having is, and I didn't know this terminology now, I was having passive suicidal thoughts. I would be in the house, and so a lot of the time my house had turned into a party house. And then when the party was over and stuff, that's when I was probably at my worst thoughts. So I was having the passive suicidal thoughts where if someone like said, "There's a button, if we press it, it's over," I would have said, "Please press it." I was having the passive ones. I wasn't at a stage where I was like having the active suicidal thoughts, where I was like specifically like, right, I'm going to do this, and this is how I'm going to do it. I wasn't there. I was just because I'd missed 5 mortgage payments. I had no direction in my life. I'd all of me real proper mates had, they'd moved on. They'd got married. They had careers. I was hanging around with younger acquaintances, and I felt like I just felt like a huge loser, because in my head, I've always, because come from a sporting background, and like I've always wanted to be a winner. Like I've always been driven. So I felt like such a loser, because I thought, how have you managed to get all this success and all this fame? Like you've single-handedly got it, and you've messed it all up. And look at you now, you're doing drugs, you're doing alcohol, you're hanging around with people you never normally would hang around with.